So, today we're gonna go through something Stoicism related. Yay! Once again, welcome to the Stoicism channel. And today we are talking about Stoicism. No, this is one of the articles that I've pre-chosen. I've had a bit of time and I thought, well, let's actually look through some interesting articles and see what I can find. And I have found something, Who might have known that? Anyway, one crucial word, which is the headline. And I sound a bit bad, actually. I don't know why. I sound a bit nauseous, I guess. Anyway, amanthia, I guess. It is often translated as ignorance, as in the following two famous quotes from Socrates. Wisdom alone is too good for man, ignorance the only evil. Euthydemus 281d. There here, and that's by the way the second quote, there is, he said, only one good, that is knowledge, and only one evil, that is ignorance. In Diogenes Laertius 2nd 31 or whatnot. But just as in the case of other ancient Greek words like eudaimonia, about which I will write later this week, the common translation hardly does the job, and indeed often leads people to misunderstand the concept and quickly dismiss it as obviously false or even incoherent. This topic comes often in discussions of Stoicism, since the Stoics adopted Socrates' view that evil is the result of ignorance. This rather naturally strikes most people as simply ludicrous. Of course, people do evil in a calculated manner, and being educated is no guarantee at all against being a crook, or worse, as plenty of historical and contemporary examples seem to show. I mean, seriously, can anyone maintain that the Nazis were just ignorant and what they were doing to Jews? I mean, I gotta be honest. The Nazis were very smart about whatever they did. Nazis weren't dumb. At least when I'm, talking about higher positions. Of course, the people that then did whatever they did, they were dumb. Incredibly dumb. But those people that came up with the ideas and the concepts and the propaganda and so on and so forth, they really knew their shit. Not gonna lie. Yes, if instead of ignorant one uses the proper Greek word or term amanthia or amanthia, I'll get back to the Nazi in a bit. But first let me give you a better idea of what amanthia means and how it is properly used. A good article about this, aptly entitled Ignorance versus Stupidity, has been penned by Shearwood Belanger, a philosophy teacher at Georgia Regents University in Augusta, GA. I'm going to quote extensively from it. Belanger begins by transcribing a conversation from Plato's Alcibiades Major between Socrates and his friend Alcibiades, whoever this is, I don't know. An Athenian general and politician with, shall we say, a more than correct checkered record from an ethical point of view. Well, Socrates said, but if you're bewildered, is it not clear for what has gone before, 118b, that you are not only ignorant, or amanthia, of the greatest things, but while not knowing them, you think that you do? And the answer was, I'm afraid so. Socrates then says, Alack then, Alcibiades, for the blight you're in. I shrink indeed from giving it a name, but still, as we are alone, let me speak out. You're wedded to stupidity. Or again, amanthia. My fine friend of the vilest kind, you are impeached of this by your own words, out of your own mouth, and this, it seems, is why you dash into politics before you have been educated. You're not alone in this blight, but you share it with most of those who manage our city's affairs, except just a few and perhaps your guardian Pericles. The two Greek words in parentheses are ignorance, and stupidity, amanthia, though even stupidity really doesn't do the job, as it will soon be clear. Alcibiades was one of the most educated, in the normal sense of the word, of the Athenians, and he was obviously intelligent, again in the normal sense. So neither the English word ignorance nor stupidity really describes what Socrates is getting at. Instead, Alcibiades is unwise. He dashes into politics without the proper education, quote-unquote education. Meaning, without the sort of wisdom that comes from being virtuous, another tricky word to which also I will turn in more depth later this week, the contrast with Pericles is particularly illuminating. Pericles was famous for being not just educated and smart, but also wise. Wise being, well, no, it's not italic, but that is italic. That is what made him a good politician, and that is what, tragically, as it turns out, was missing in Alcibiades. Amanthia then can best be thought of as lack of wisdom, i.e. the opposite of Sophia. Belangia or Belangia, whatever, helpfully adds, gnoia means literally not knowing, amanthia means literally not learning. In addition to the type of amanthia that is an inability to learn, there is another form that is unwillingness to learn. Robert Musi, in an essay called On Stupidity, distinguished between two forms of stupidity. One he called an honorable kind due to lack of natural ability, and another, much more sinister kind, that he called intelligent stupidity. Which definitely makes sense. I mean, some people are just not capable of being intelligent, as strange and as mean as it might sound, but it just can't be intelligent. They just can't learn. They don't have the physical capabilities, maybe not the brain, maybe it is about the brain, maybe it's actually not about the brain or whatnot. They just don't have the physical capability of do so or to do so. On the other hand, of course, there's other people that really could do a lot with their life, but they just don't, because they are fucking, I don't know, not necessarily stupid, but they don't want to do the work, I'm just searching for the right word. I know it in German, but I don't know it in English now. The opposite of being, well, anyway, you know what I mean, somebody that's not doing anything, somebody that's laying around all fucking time. You just, you know the picture. Belangia also quotes Glenn Hutchins from an essay entitled Voegelin's use of, I think it's Voegelin's or Voegelin's, could also be the case, use of Musi's concept of intelligent stupidity in Hitler and the Germans, providing a further elucidation of the concept of amanthia, italics in the original. The higher pretentious form of stupidity stands only too often in crass opposition to its in crass. What does crass even mean? Is it like crass, like amazing, or extreme opposition, like something crass, stupid, insensitive, blundering, dense, thick, mindless, witless? Okay. Too often in crass or mindless opposition to its honorable form. It's not so much lack of intelligence as failure of intelligence, for the reason that it presumes to accomplish to which it has no right. The stupidity this addresses is no mental illness, yet it is most lethal, a dangerous disease of the mind that endangers life itself, since the higher stupidity, quote-unquote, consists not in an inability to understand, but in a refusal to understand. Any healing or reversal of it will not occur through rational argumentation, through a greater accumulation of data and knowledge, or through experiencing new and different feelings. We may say that the reversal of a spiritual sickness must entail a spiritual cure. I uncovered another interesting essay that also helps get clear on amanthia. D.R. Kajaba wrote a piece entitled "The Euthyphro as a Philosophical Work," or Euthyphro. I think it's Euthyphro. I actually don't know. Which makes, well, I'm actually gonna spell it. Euthyphro, as a philosophical work which makes for an interesting reading on that most famous Platonic dialogue, semi-two-part essay on it. Toward the end of it, however, Kajaba gets to amanthia. Socrates' life mission was to combat amanthia, or ignorance, by helping his interlocutors examine themselves. Amanthia, the evil of which the Socratic Elenchus writes, the soul is not lack of knowledge in its wilder or milder variety. It is obscure and confused, though, in its more pernicious variety. It is this knowledge, quote unquote, instilled into the soul by bad upbringing and bad education, consisting in false values and notions and beliefs. This is the best definition of amanthia that I was able to find so far, so it's worth highlighting it. Amanthia, or this knowledge instilled into the soul by bad upbringing and bad education, consisting in false values and notions and beliefs, which is the definition now. Back to the Nazi, arguably the quintessential difficult example for the Socratic/Stoic idea that people commit evil out of ignorance. You may be familiar with philosopher Hannah Arendt's famous description of what, well, actually I know her. You know what the funny thing is? Hannah Arendt was, well, I think she's German, first of all, and second of all, we talked about it in some subject, but I don't remember which one. It might be German as a subject, might also be religion as a subject, because we actually have that, and had that. Now I'm not at school anymore, but very interesting. As far as I remember, it's been quite an interesting person anyway. Famous description of what most Nazi bureaucrats did as the penalty of evil. She was criticized for that phrase in a manner similar to the criticism Stoics get whenever they use the English translation of amanthia, and the parallel is indicative and instructive. Here is the last interview given by Arendt, from which I will quote a few selected bits that are very pertinent to our discussion. Boldface is mine. The interview is also found in the book Hannah Arendt, The Last Interview and Another Conversation, which we might have also been talking about. Like it's very interesting. It's very, it lets me understand some things. Maybe, and it's probably been in religion because my religion professor was amazing. Such an intelligent person and such, really intelligent and really able to learn us a lot. He knows so much. Or he knew so much. I believe that he still knows so much, but it was insane. One of the most intellectual persons that I've ever met, to really be honest. Anyway, there is a quote. And during the war, Ernst Jünger came across some peasants and a farmer had taken in Russian prisoners of war straight from the camps, and naturally they were completely starving. You know how Russian prisoners of war were treated here, and he says to Jünger, well, they're subhuman, just like cattle. Look how they devour food like cattle. Jünger comments on the story, it's sometimes as if the German people were being possessed by the devil. And he didn't mean anything demonic by that. You see, there's something outrageously stupid, dumb is ignorant, unwise about this story. I mean, the story is stupid, so to speak. And the man doesn't see that this is just what starving people do, right? Yeah, it is stupid. And anyone would behave like that, but there's something really outrageous. And there's a German word, empört, which is shocking or revolting about the stupidity. Eichmann was perfectly intelligent, and the book is about Eichmann being one of the, being one of the people that said no, quite as far as I remember, and I don't want to say anything wrong here, but by the way, a very interesting person to look up and read about. Eichmann being or having a relatively high position, which led to misunderstanding of, or which led to the question of, okay, why did he did it? and he definitely was stupid in the sense of unwise, and he was just not seeing what he did quite, in just what this article is talking about. Very interesting, Well, I've said that so badly, to be honest, unfortunately. Anyway, so Eichmann was perfectly intelligent, but in this respect he had this sort of stupidity or Dummheit, which is the German word for stupidity, which is irrationality, senselessness. It was this stupidity that was so outrageous, absurd, shocking, and revolting, and that was what I actually meant by banality. There's nothing deep about it, the ignorance, nothing demonic. There's simply the reluctance ever to imagine what the other person is experiencing correct. I suggest not just to my fellow Stoics, but to anyone interested in ethics and the human condition, that we should resurrect the word amanthia, just like we have resurrected eudaimonia, because it is a crucial concept of which, interestingly, there is no adequate English translation or comparable concept in the English language. This problem caused by the conceptual richness and nuance of ancient Greek is not at all new. Cicero in De Finibus has Cato explain it. And there is a quote now. The Stoics, as you are aware, affect an exceedingly subtle style of argument, and if the Greeks find it so, still more must we who have actually to create a vocabulary and to invent new terms to convey new ideas. Even artisans would be unable to preserve the tradition of their crafts if they did not make use of words unknown to us, though familiar to themselves. All the more is the philosopher compelled to do likewise, for philosophy is the science of life and cannot treat its subject in language taken from the street. Indeed, let us use the proper language when we discuss philosophy, and let us include amanthia as one of the most important concepts we have to meaningfully talk about ethics and how to live a eudaimonic life. Acknowledgements. Many thanks to my CUNY City College colleague Nick Papas for confirming that the crucial word I was after is indeed amanthia. I'm also indebted to my friend Amy Dakin Valadares for providing me with the translation from German of the quoted excerpts from the last interview given by Hannah Arendt. I could have also done that, by the way. Hit me up, man. Amazing website, by the way. Even though I think that now it is a paid one. Anyway, the link to this article is always going to be down in the description. Please check it out, and please also check out Hannah Arendt and what was the guy called? Eichmann. Yeah, I don't know his other name. Yeah. Anyway, I'm gonna see you the next time. Bye bye. Please stay safe, and yeah. Peace out, motherfuckers.